It's a Tuesday evening, February the 17th, and I'm Chris Allen, and this is 270 Weather, weather for the 270 area code and beyond. Thank you for joining me. We've got several things to talk about here, namely this that you're seeing right up there in the picture, the big blob, the yellow blob circled by a dark green blob and then a light green blob. What is that? It is the categorical severe weather risk that is out for day 3, which is Thursday. And it still appears that it's going to be something that we're going to have to pay attention to, of course, and we already have paid attention to it. This is level 2 slight risk in the yellow that you see here. Down to Bowling Green, it's a marginal risk, and then the lighter green is just your general thunderstorm risk. So, anywhere from Bloomington, Illinois, to say Columbus, Indiana, also Indianapolis, down to Louisville, Evansville, over to St. Louis, to Dayton, to Maysville, Lexington, and just right along and north the Western Kentucky and Bluegrass Parkways. That's your level 2. Level 2. I'll draw a big 2 here so that you know that that is the level 2, slight risk. Now, level 1, marginal risk, is down here further south into southern Kentucky and northern Middle Tennessee. Now, what does all that mean? It means the Storm Prediction Center is looking at the possibility of at least something maybe severe, and more so in that yellow shaded level 2 slight risk area for Thursday. The setup is going to be one that is just, we're not just looking at it as being a sure thing, but we're looking at it as being something that's conditional if everything pulls together like we're looking at it right now. I don't think that it's going to be a big widespread event, if you will. And when we use the term event, usually we're talking about something that is going to be the kind of thing that I often describe as an up all night, pace the floor kind of thing. This is not going to be that. Okay, so I want to let you all understand at this point, this does not look to be anything that is going to be significant. Strong thunderstorms, yes. Damaging wind potential, yes. Tornadoes, there could be a few, but not the big tornado outbreak. Again, the pace the floor, up all night kind of a thing that's going to be just absolutely devastating. It could be just where we see a few little spin ups. Because given the atmosphere and the way the winds, low-level jet winds going one direction, surface winds, and then above us, the winds are going in another direction. And that causes just a little spin in the atmosphere, which could cause a few rotating storms. But as far as it being anything more than that, at this point, I don't see that. But we'll discuss it a little more here, because I know that a lot of you are asking questions, and I'll try to answer some of your questions here toward the end of this. But as you can see, it's a fairly decent area, stretching through the target zone. I would say if there is a target zone or some place that is more likely to get higher end severe thunderstorms, hail-producing storms, wind-producing storms, and tornadic storms is going to be in that yellow shaded area. So again, anywhere right along the Ohio River The target zone would be central Indiana, southern Indiana, and I would say central and eastern Illinois. Okay. So further south, where we are in the 270, as you can see here, we're mostly in that level 1 marginal risk area. That's not to say that those things can't happen, but they're less likely to, and it's because the way this is going to be set up, the moisture is going to be kind of either capped off or cut off on the southern edge of this storm coming in, and I will show you on the maps why that's going to be significant. That's coming up in just a moment. Let's also look at rainfall here over the next few days. And here you see the day 1 and 2, which includes tomorrow and Thursday. Rain chances, not all that much, about 1/10 of an inch. The rain chances have come way down. The higher rain chances are actually going to be, again, up here to the north of us, where you could get, 1/2 an inch of rain or so. We go days 1 through 3, and you start to see some places looking at 1/2 inch right along the Ohio River. The next 5 days, the better rain chances again are going to be, anywhere from central Kentucky and out to the east. The next 7 days, you see here, things don't change because the best chance of rain is actually going to come in the next 3 or 4 days. And then the rain chances kind of slack off after that. So we may see a little bit of rain tomorrow, and we will see the better, or at least a little more coverage of rain on Thursday. But it's actually, I'm looking at Friday. Friday into Saturday are going to be the better rain chances. And there might even be, I know some of you are not going to be surprised by this, there might even be, on the back end of this, some snow chances. Wait, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me yet, okay? Don't hurt me. Minor snow chances. Somebody in this area, in the 270 or surrounding areas, on the tail end of all this moisture, and I'm talking about as we get into Saturday night and early Sunday, somebody might see a snowflake. But it's not going to be winter storm stuff. It's not going to be measurable stuff. It's not going to be anything like that. All I'm saying is for a brief time, as we get into Saturday night and Sunday morning, it could get chilly enough to where some of the rain may switch over to a brief period of some light snow. That's all. But let's pursue this a little bit further and see what we've got coming. First of all, I want to go back just a little bit and look at radar. And there's really nothing happening out there, even though today it's looked like it wanted to do something. The nearest precipitation is way back here in parts of Oklahoma, just north of Tulsa. And as you head up, say, toward Parsons, Kansas, Pittsburgh, Kansas, this is some light rain that's going on there, but there's really not anything anywhere close to us. Satellite view, of course, is showing how all the clouds have moved in today. We had some sun early this morning, and then the clouds began to take over as expected today because the forecast was for mostly cloudy skies today, and that's the way it has been. As we look at a few traffic cameras, has-cams, let's see if we can get to the one in Litchfield. The Litchfield camera was out for a little bit today. It looks like it's back. 58 degrees currently here at 6:28 on this Tuesday evening, and a light wind. You see the clouds around Grayson County at this hour. We go up to the Metro Louisville area, and we're seeing a mainly cloudy sky. Nothing happening there as far as rain or anything like that. 58 degrees, winds from the south at 3. We go to Moorhead, Kentucky, and whoops, nothing there. Little error on that one. Here's Pikeville, and you can see the low clouds. It looks like a little airplane flying over Pikeville right there. But yeah, low clouds, 62 degrees, and a light wind also coming out of the south. We go to western Kentucky, far western Kentucky, Gage, Kentucky, seeing low clouds here. We check maybe a traffic cam. We go down to my hometown of White House, Tennessee, and we're looking at Interstate 65 right now. And you can see that things are fairly quiet. Traffic moving along. There at I-65 and Highway 76, just a few miles from where I grew up. We go way over. This is way over in Pound, Virginia. Yeah. Nothing much happening. Very light traffic. I just thought I would take a different camera and look at it. There you see one car coming. Let's see, Bristol, Tennessee at I-81. See, we can take, actually, this is on the Virginia side. Instead of Bristol, Tennessee, it's Bristol, Virginia. Because as you know, if you've been there, Bristol, they have a wonderful neon sign that's there on the border of Tennessee and Virginia in the city of Bristol. Right in the middle of town, the state line crosses. And there's a big neon sign that you can drive underneath. It's pretty cool. I wish they had that on this camera. But no, they don't have it. Let's see. Okay, that's that. Let's go down toward Nashville. This is, for those of you that know, Briley Parkway and Ashland City Highway, which would be Tennessee 12. And it's hard to tell. I mean, it's, nighttime, cameras turn black and white. Not much going on. But you get the idea. Everybody's just under clouds at this moment. All right. Let's go on down and look at Kentucky Mesonet data from today and even the current conditions. And currently, as of 6:32, we have 61 degrees at both the Corvette plant and the Ag Expo Center. 60s, low to mid 60s east, and low to mid 50s west. Why is there such a difference? Well, let's take a look at the wind. That may help tell the story. Well, the winds are coming out of the south at 5 to 10 to even up to 15. It's been breezy today. Some of the breezes have been 15 to 20, even 25 miles per hour. But you don't see anything really shifting differently, showing a different wind direction unless you're down here in Todd or Logan counties, and then it looks like it's more westerly. But everything else is coming up out of the south. But there is a big temperature difference that's out there. Some of it has to do with how thick the clouds are, and the rest of it is just, there's a little bit of a boundary that's just sitting right here, and that's really the only difference in whatever's going on with the weather at the moment. But otherwise, it's just quiet. We started this morning with temperatures in the 30s and the 40s, and we warmed it up pretty quickly. Some of you started in the 40s, even mid 40s, but then it was in the 30s here in Warren County, Bowling Green. Again, it had a lot to do with the elevation of each Mesonet station and site because the dew points were really low and the air was very dry. And sometimes that's how you get those temperature differences. The high temperatures today, look at this, 71. It made it to 71 in Burkesville, 70 in Albany, Clinton County. 60 is, this is where we had a lot more sunshine today. And then we had filtered sunshine here in the Bowling Green area, I-65 corridor. So we had mid 60s, but then back to the west where it stayed cloudy much of the day. High temperatures only made it in the mid to upper 50s. So 50s, 60s, 70s. Temperatures were just kind of all over the place today. And of course, even though it looked like it wanted to rain, there was no rainfall at all anywhere in our area. On to the maps now, because this is going to help tell the story of what's coming. So here we are, Bowling Green right here in the middle. You can see the setup with this first of two cold fronts. The pressure difference between this the high pressure center that's out in the Atlantic, and the low pressure system, which is up here into parts of the upper Midwest, is enough to cause a pressure difference and therefore the winds. So the winds coming out of the south and west, as they have been all day today, will continue to do that and stay breezy even overnight tonight and during the day tomorrow. Here's midnight tonight. There's that little boundary I was talking about, which is helping separate temperatures just a little bit. But here are those tightly packed isobars, equal lines of pressure. So the breezes are going to continue during the overnight hours tonight and during the day tomorrow. Then here comes a little bit of rain, which is going to try to work out of this system in the upper plains. And here comes our first of two cold fronts. This is midnight tonight, and here's 6 a.m. tomorrow with that little short wave, that disturbance sitting over us, just enough to squeeze out maybe a shower. Now, the rain chance tomorrow, we're talking 20%. It's not a big deal. And most of you will not even see that tomorrow. Maybe a raindrop or a sprinkle, but yeah, down at the surface, the air mass is, everything is still really dry. So it'll be breezy. It'll be cloudy tomorrow, just like it was today. And somebody might get a raindrop or two. A thunderstorm? Questionable. This is 6 a.m. in the morning. And as we go to midday, here is noontime, a shower chance to the east of us. Here comes our cold front. And as we go to 6 o'clock tomorrow evening, if we're going to get a thunderstorm, it would be right here and around this time tomorrow evening. This front begins to, as you can see, break apart or dissolve. It may squeeze out just enough moisture for a chance of a shower and maybe a thunderstorm. But whatever falls would be 1/10 of an inch or less. Let's go now to Thursday. Here we go, midnight, tomorrow night, into early Thursday. Now, this is when things are looking a little more organized. Let me paint on, make sure we get the fronts and all painted on here. There we go. So what we've got here, the first front right there comes through and really just kind of dissolves. It's this front back to the west that is going to be the main player in our weather as we get into Thursday. So Thursday morning, with the lift of a warm front, we may begin to see a few showers and maybe a thunderstorm early Thursday morning. The better lift, if there's going to be something elevated as far as a thunderstorm, it would be along and north of that warm front, and mainly along and north of Bowling Green. So again, up near the parkways, Western Kentucky, Bluegrass Parkway, up Interstate 65, up 165, and somewhere north of us toward the Ohio River. But none of that is expected to be strong or severe because it will be more elevated. In other words, that warm front takes that moisture, lifts it up, and any kind of thunderstorm or convective activity would be up above us and not the kind that is surface-based where we get, the threat of maybe a stronger storm. But then in the afternoon, that could change. So here's 6 p.m. Thursday evening. This would be when the best potential energy is coming in. The stronger winds. We get winds here at the surface coming out of the south and west, but near the front, as you go up in elevation, you get winds turning more south and east near the low pressure system, and it's that crossing of the winds with height where you get shear. And if there's enough shear, then we could get a rotating storm or two and possibly a brief tornado. But as far as an outbreak or anything serious or significant, no. And again today, I've seen all the red graphics and code reds and all of these bright reds and just deep, big numbers and fonts and big fat spreads across Facebook and social media. Oh boy, this is it. This is the one to watch. No, it's not. Okay, so we get into 6 o'clock on Thursday evening. Thunderstorms, yes. But let me just point out something here. The better potential energy for something to happen is going to be near the low pressure system. And even at that, the low, yeah, it's at 996 millibar, which is, moderately strong. But this is not such a deep, deep system and close enough to us. Here we are way down here. It's not close enough to us to cause like a major outbreak or a major concern, or as I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, an up all night, walk the floor kind of thing. It's just not. In fact, the best moisture is going to be up here in the top end of the warm sector, down at the bottom end from about Bowling Green south toward Nashville. A lot of the moisture is just going to be squeezed off or cut off or maybe even capped off. And by that, I mean, some of the moisture will only be able to lift so far because there's not enough cold air on top of it. So we get like, when you get a boiling pot of water and the air lifts as it boils, then somebody takes a lid and puts it on top of the pot of boiling water, it shuts it off from boiling any further. Well, there's going to be a possible cap in the atmosphere, warm air above us instead of the colder air, and that's likely to cap off or cut off the lift needed to produce some of these stronger storms. So the better risk of that happening is going to be right up here. Illinois, Indiana, those yellow shaded areas I showed you, that is in that risk zone right up here. So anywhere really north of the Ohio River is going to be the better setup for a severe weather threat and maybe a tornado. And that's even there, it's not a guarantee. Further south where we are, in the bottom half of the 270 and in the 615, Bowling Green South, a few showers, maybe a few thunderstorms, gusty wind. I would say the primary threat for us is going to be maybe a damaging wind threat if we get a strong storm. But then once we get past dark, and this is 6 p.m. Thursday evening, so then we're a little past dark, sunset, the instability levels, whatever small instability level is there, is going to go down. So after dark, we lose potential energy and things just kind of go bleh after that. So that's why I just do not, at this point, have a whole lot of confidence that this is going to be anything that's going to need significant coverage, or if it's going to be just, it's not going to be a big deal, not for us. Then as we get into Friday morning behind this cold front, some cooler air begins to come in, but it's really back behind this system where you see this secondary front, and you can see the even colder air tries to work in here. This is when we start to really cool down. Here we go into now between 6 a.m. Friday and 6 a.m. Saturday. Notice what happens. Where does that rain come from? Well, it's not coming from this, because this front is just going to dissolve in the upper flow. It is coming from another low that is going to develop over the Gulf and then move into Texas and then send that energy north and east. So watch, this low in Texas will then move up to the north and east, a little bit more into eastern Texas, and then because of the Gulf moisture available on Saturday morning, rain moves back in, the rain runs over the colder air coming in, and some parts of Missouri and Illinois might see some of that rain mixing with or changing to a few snowflakes. And even in parts of Kentucky, now don't read too much into this right here. It's showing snow east of Bowling Green, a little rain and a little mix Sunday morning. But this is what I was just talking about. It's going to get cold enough, just cold enough, barely cold enough Saturday night into Sunday morning that some of you will see some snowflakes mixing in with the end of the rain. In other words, this is not going to be a big deal. Just cold enough for a few hours to see some snowflakes, and then this is gone as we head into Monday and then into Tuesday. So I know some of you are like, for real? Is this for real? We go from near record highs on Thursday. And by the way, the record is 76, set back in 2018. We're predicting 75. I think we'll probably either match, tie, or break the record on Thursday for high temperatures. So, yeah, we're going to go from that to the possibility of a few strong or severe storms, and then to maybe some snow, a little bit of snow on the back end of the system. I know. Look, I hear you. I get you. It's like it's typical Kentucky weather. It really is typical Kentucky weather. Wouldn't you know it? That we have this taste of spring, and then we'll get a taste of winter. But here are two big takeaways I want you to understand. One, we're not looking at a significant severe weather event. And two, we are not looking at a significant severe winter event either. Neither one of those are going to happen. We're going to be somewhere on the low end of the scale on a severe weather threat, and we're going to be somewhere on the low end of the scale on a severe winter event, or not even severe, but a low end winter event. I mean, neither one of these things, even though we're going to go from one extreme to the other in a matter of hours and a day or so, neither one of those are going to be a big deal. Okay. Let's go to the European just for comparison. Here we go through this evening. And as you can see, things are very quiet. We've got the winds here. With the winds, you can see the isobars all tightly packed in here. And everything is running from the southwest to northeast. So this wind energy is going to be with us all night tonight, all day tomorrow, into Thursday, into Friday, and then all of that will start to shift direction. Right now, all of the wind energy is warm. This is all warm stuff, okay? So this is the warmer side of the storm. We don't get into the colder side of things, which you can see here. The Pacific West and Northwest is dealing with all the really cold stuff. There's your line of demarcation, and it all surrounds this area of low pressure. But there's going to be another one that forms, as I mentioned, down in the Gulf in the next, well, at least by Friday. And it's going to be the next player after this one. So this one is to the north of us is where all the really nasty cold air and the wintry stuff that's going on. You get back here into Colorado and Utah and Nevada, I mean, it is snowing. California, too. It is snowing like 2 feet of snow in parts of California. Where is it? What's the name of that town? Truckee, California. They're going to get 2 feet of snow tonight, and already they have about a foot and a half. California. That's how cold and how wintry it is back that way. So here we go into tomorrow. We see the showers, and we're going to see a few of those. These are the ones that I said could develop, and they just kind of pop up, and not a big deal. May just only be a sprinkle at best. Some of you will not get anything tomorrow as far as rain. Here we go into Wednesday afternoon and evening. Notice the flow here continues at the surface to be out of the southwest. Notice all these tight lines. Everything is from the south and southwest. In the upper levels, as this system starts to come together, then we're going to start to get the winds that'll start to come in from the south and east around this low pressure system. And that, as you can see, is when we get the cross winds. You get the winds at the surface crossing over with the winds up above us, and that is what causes a spin in the atmosphere. It doesn't, just because I say the word spin doesn't mean a tornado. Spin, a lot of storms rotate. They don't have to produce tornadoes to rotate. It just happens. Natural spin in the atmosphere. So That's what we're looking at as we head into Thursday. So here we go into Thursday, warm, and you see this would be the morning round of showers and storms, lifting ahead of what I showed you was the warm front. And so with the lift of that warm front, this is when we're expecting to get the first wave of showers Thursday morning. Okay, there they are. And some of those look a little hefty, even from this vantage point. There we are, little clusters, little showers, little storms. Now we're starting to get into the midday and afternoon hours. Notice our low pressure system is deepening a little more. It's at 995 millibars. Out ahead of it, we get the, stronger southwest winds at the surface, and then upper winds will start to, again, move in from the south and east, coming around the low pressure system. You see how all that begins to work, even though I did not draw it completely, perfectly, symmetrically, but you get the idea. So here we go. Thursday afternoon and evening, things begin to lift northward, better chance and better clusters of showers and thunderstorms as the low continues to deepen. And you can clearly see right there is your warm front with the best lift being here north of that warm front, and then the cold front is coming right. You can see the little nicks right there. That's your cold front. So we'll be in between the warm front and the cold front and the warm, what we call the warm sector. So yes, but we're there, but will there be enough moisture? According to these runs of the models, and including this one, the European model, I don't see a lot of moisture. Do you? I don't. Okay, so now we're getting into Thursday evening, and now we're getting past 7 o'clock, which would be after sunset. And then we're going to start to lose instability because we don't have any daytime heating. So that's why I'm just kind of, I'm just not buying into all of it yet. Now, as we get into early Friday morning, there will be, it appears, as you're seeing here, as the low continues to deepen. Look at that, 991 millibar. Now we're seeing the cold front become more occluded or wrapping around itself, along with, you can clearly see the cold front, and now the colder air is going to start coming in as we get into early Friday morning. But happening down here at the bottom end of all this is that new low pressure system that's going to form just off the coast of Texas. And here's our system with the showers pulling away. I still don't see that there's going to be a whole lot to raise a red flag about around here. Now here we go. The low continues to deepen as it moves into Lake Michigan. The best of the showers and the thunderstorms are moving here along the cold front, and here come the winds whipping out of the north and west. As the low pressure system moves north, then we're going to start to get the backlash, colder air spilling in early Friday and just kind of calming everything down. The winds will still be howling, but it'll be a much cooler wind, as you see here. And now the warm air is beginning to retreat a little more as we get into Friday afternoon and evening. And now we're going to start to see how this, here it is, way down here. Wait a minute. There we are. Here's the low pressure system that's going to drive east and force more Gulf moisture into the Tennessee Valley, and some of that moisture is then going to get thrown into some of this colder air that's coming in on the back of that low pressure system. So when this moisture overruns the colder air that's in place to the north, that's when we could see some of the rain into Saturday night and Sunday morning, as you'll see here, switch into a little bit of rain mixed with maybe a little bit of snow. It's not a big deal. We're going to be right there on the fence. Right there on the fence. Wouldn't you know it? It's not going to be that big of a deal, though. And look how quickly it's gone. This is Sunday morning, colder air. Now we get the deepening of the trough. The really colder air. That's not going to last long. It's only going to be with us for the latter half of the weekend and maybe the beginning of next week. Here we go into Monday. And then let me load in another run here. So here's Monday into Tuesday, still chilly. But look, by the time we get to Tuesday and Wednesday, we're warming back up again. Now, this right here, it's not going to be a big deal. This is just transitional. You can see the rain-snow line is now east of us. The much warmer air is coming in, but there's going to be some leftover mixing right here. As we get into, say, Tuesday into Wednesday, it's not going to be much of anything. As we get into Wednesday of next week, now there's potentially a much rainier system that is going to come in for next Thursday. As you see here, that's a lot of rain. If that one comes into development, ooh, look at that. Look at that. That's a little interesting, but let's not go there yet. That's way too far. We're talking next Friday. Could that happen? Yeah, it could happen, but that's a long way off. Let's not go there yet. Because look at these numbers. All right, let's go backwards. Let's look at next Friday. Not this coming Friday, but next Friday. Right here. 55 and 37. Does that look like it's going to come a big snowstorm? It's cooler, but not cold enough for snow. So there, that's why I said don't pay attention to that yet. It's too far off. But somebody probably this weekend or next week is going to be talking about it, and they're going to start showing it like, okay, we've had our taste of spring, severe weather. Now, here comes another winter storm. Guarantee you somebody's going to do that. All right, now we come to the here and now. Tomorrow, 67, 68 to 70. With a small chance of showers. Then there's your near record high mid-70s on Thursday before we get that chance of maybe a few strong to severe storms. That is still in question. Confidence level, low to moderate, conditional threat right now. Then behind the system, we get a series of cooler shots of air, the first one coming Friday, the next one coming Saturday, then into Sunday we go 60, 54, 42, 41. And yes, some of the nights, and I specifically mentioned Saturday night into Sunday, it could be cold enough to see some of that leftover moisture mix with a few snowflakes. That's it, snowflakes. not snowfall. No winter storm. Okay? Just want to make that clear. It does get chilly Sunday and Monday, but then we start to warm back up Tuesday, Wednesday, and there is your mid 50s at the end of next week. There you go. Okay. So, with all those changes, as you know, R&R Controls is prepared to help you make sure that your heating and cooling and ventilation systems are working as they should, because you're going to be doing that switcheroo where you're going to be looking at your thermostat, and it's going to be here in the next day or so, you may even cut the air conditioner on. You may cut it on AC because we're going to get in the mid 70s. You're like, okay, AC, I need some air conditioning. Then you're going to go, well, it's not so warm now. I'm going to just cut on the fan switch. Then when it gets cooler this weekend or even colder, then you're going to switch it again. And your system's going to go, okay, make up your mind. Are you going to leave it on AC? Or are you going to put it on heat? Or is it going to go from just fan to heat again? Or emergency heat? There's that setting too, but you really should only use that like in a winter storm situation when we have ice on the systems, on the fans and all of that. R&R Controls can not only show you how to use your system properly, but if you have a system that's been around for a while and it hasn't been serviced in a while, they can come out, take a look, and see what you're going to need to make it work like it's supposed to. So that when you hit that switch on your thermostat and you're switching from one to the other and then back again, that it's not going to go, what are you doing? I can't go to that mode. I can't go from heat to cool and cool to heat or in between. I can't do that. We think it's easy. All we have to do is flip the little switch or turn the thermostat to a certain temperature, and then this kicks on and that kicks on, and compressor to fan and all the in between. Don't you know, especially if you have an older system, your system is just kind of like, you can only do this a few more times and then I'm going to go, and then I'm done. Yep. Well, R&R Controls can come out, do diagnostics on your system, your heating, cooling, ventilation, HVAC, the total works. Home, business, it doesn't matter how big, how small. R&R Controls has been doing this for over 40 years. They know what they're doing. So give them a call, because you're going to need heat again. And you're going to need the air again, because we're now going from winter to spring and then spring to summer. This is the perfect time to make sure your system is working at optimum to be ready for what's coming. 270-777-2024. Easy number to call, or you can hit them up on their website, rnrcontrols.com. or rnrhvac.com. Website, Facebook, or the number 270-777-2024. Because with R&R Controls, you will never be without. Now, let's get to your comments and see what you're talking about. And let's see who's out there. Let me adjust my seat because it keeps rolling back on me for some reason. I start here, and then all of a sudden I find myself rolling backwards. The wheels on my chair is like, I got to get a new chair pad or something, because I think it has divots in it where it's rolling me backwards sometimes as I get to talking. But anyway, let's see who is out there. And making comments tonight here is Chris Matthews, watching from Grayson County. Thank you very much. Appreciate you watching. Here is Electric Tornado Storms WX, who last night I was trying to figure out who is this because, well, okay, so it's somebody that follows the weather. Potential for tornadoes. Wait a minute. It went away. Severe thunderstorms, central Ohio. Looks like we're in a marginal risk, so not too bad. Well, that's pretty much what I think. There is a risk that there could be a spin up, but with it being marginal, I don't think it's a big threat. But you know what I'm curious about is from your name, it looks like maybe you cover some weather. I'm not sure. But anyway, so sometimes we get curiosity built up from what I say about the weather and then what somebody else says. And then this is when sometimes you guys will come to me and say, well, so-and-so is saying this, so what do you think? And it's like, I'm telling you right here in my podcast exactly what I think. And I'm also telling you when I'm on TV at News 40 every morning, 3 times a morning, what I think. And if you don't know by then what I think, then maybe either you're not listening to me or maybe I'm not communicating my thoughts exactly. But I would think that I try to make it clear and simple enough to where you can understand it, hopefully. I'm not trying to be rude here. I'm just trying to, sometimes the curious cat in me, if you will, wonders, where do some people come up with, are they trying to bait me into saying something that I don't want to say? I'm not saying that anybody's doing that. I'm just saying that it just makes me, sometimes I raise a red flag when I see all the clutter and the hype and all the stuff that goes on social media day after day after day. And it doesn't matter. Even when we have quiet weather and somebody's looking at something 2 weeks down the road and, oh, look at this, here it comes. And I'm like, really? Then somebody will go, well, what about this part of the country? And how do you feel about it? And I'm like, I will explain. If there's something to explain, I'll explain it. Be reassured that I'll talk about it if it needs to be talked about. If it's not going to be significant, I'll tell you, and I will then move on. I'm not going to dwell on it. Yeah. So here is Junice Blair. Will we have high dew points tomorrow? Well, the dew points are going to go up into the mid 50s, maybe even upper 50s. And that may, help fuel a few thunderstorms, maybe tomorrow evening or on Thursday. But it's not a driving factor, okay? Now, if this were late spring or maybe in the mid to late spring, and we're talking about 60+ degree dew points, then that would be a far greater threat. But at this point, it doesn't appear to be that big of a threat. Let's go to Carolyn, who's watching from Rosine. Thank you for the update. Okay, thank you for watching. Let's see. Here's Gary in Bee Spring watching this evening. Here is Michelle from Powderly. That's over in Muhlenberg County. Then here's Lisa in Lewisburg, Kentucky. Right there as you go up 431 in northwestern Logan County. Here's Danny up in East Fork in Metcalfe County. Thank you, Danny, for watching. Kathy in Cub Run. Here's Jackie in Columbia in Adair County. Gina in Wingfield. Thank you for watching. Let's see. Here's Jerry in Scottsville. Thank you, Jerry. And Bradley in Campbellsville in Taylor County. Well, we've got a lot of them all over the place this evening. Here is Lisa. I love your honesty. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that, Lisa. I really do. There's just some people who take my honesty as being crass, maybe, or rude. I'm really not trying to be that. It's just I get, after you've been doing this for 40 plus years and you've been through storm after storm after storm, it's used to, we wouldn't hear very much from people unless they just really had something in their craw and they just had to sit down and actually write a letter. Gosh, when's the last time somebody wrote a letter? But back before social media and computers, people would sit down and write a letter, type a letter, mail it, and send it to me and go, oh, I think you are so awful, blah, 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 pound, pound, pound. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I got this. Look at this letter. And I would frame it or show somebody in the office, look, I got this letter from this viewer. And boy, they're really upset with me. But since the advent of computers and social media, now, oh my goodness, it's a never-ending barrage of everybody's got an opinion. And most opinions are not good. Believe it or not, they're not good. Most of them are like, you're being a jerk or you're rude or whatever. And I'm just trying to lay things out as I have always been with my forecast. And granted, there's only a certain amount of time on television through the years. All these 30 to 40 years that I've been doing TV weather here in Southern Kentucky. For those of you that watch me on the other channel and who now watch me on this channel, realize that all those years, all of them, except for the last 10, maybe 15, all those years, and still really to today, I only get 3 minutes of time to explain everything that I just took almost an hour to explain to you. And yet you're watching almost a whole hour of me explaining the weather, which I have to do in 3 minutes on TV, all those years. But now within the last 10 to 15, there's been this new element where I can get on here. There's no clock. I don't have to be on at a certain time or off at a certain time. And I can go as long as I want. Well, guess what that does? It opens up a whole new world of possibilities where people can, go, he's live. I'm going to, ooh. See, they can't do that when I'm on TV. And it opens up a new can of worms. So if it seems like I'm just sometimes a little like, really? Are you you're gonna poke the bear, aren't you? Sometimes I just get a little like, are you really gonna go there? And it's just, sometimes I try to hold back my anger, and I don't want to be rude. Last thing I want to do is be rude. But most of you guys get it. You know me. You understand. It's okay. So thank you. So, all right. I'm going to leave it at that because now it's coming up on 1 hour in 30 seconds. Thank you for watching. I love you all. I really do. Even the ones that, I love you anyway because God loves you and I do too. Have a great evening. I'll see you in the morning on News 40 with the latest. Take care.